question, is it Grindelwald or Grindelwald? Because I swear to God, I heard both pronunciations in this film. Which is it? Hey up guys, so a quick update before I jump into the review. The reason I'm not in front of my usual DVD background is because Glenn and I have just moved flats. We're waiting for our new flat to be finished, so we're in a temporary flat. And because it's an Airbnb, I can't put up my DVDs. So this is going to be my studio for the next few weeks. So yeah, we'll just have to make do. Yeah, the first film review I'm doing for you guys is the latest in the Wizarding World series, the second of the Fantastic Beasts films, called Crimes of Grindelwald, which has been written by J.K. Rowling and is once again being directed by David Yates, who did the previous film and like 4 of the Harry Potter films. The plot of Crimes of Grindelwald takes place about a year after the events of Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, except this film isn't set in New York, it's predominantly set in Paris. And the villain of the piece, Gerrert Grindelwald, who's played by Johnny Depp, starts to gather more pureblood wizards together to join his cause to rule over all the non-wizards of the world. And a young Albus Dumbledore, played in this film by Jude Law, enlists the help of everybody's favourite magizoologist, Newt Scamander, once again played by Redmayne, to try and stop Grindelwald. That's essentially the plot, but there is a lot going on in this film. Crimes of Grindelwald is entry number 2 in 5 Fantastic Beasts films, but I couldn't shake the feeling whilst I was watching this film that this was all just set up for future installments. Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them set up the tone of the franchise and introduced the players, but Crimes of Grindelwald just kind of feels like we're watching J.K. Rowling place the pieces on the chessboard. It doesn't feel like the game has really been played yet. Crimes of Grindelwald isn't a bad film, there's actually a lot to praise about it, but because its primary objective is expanding the franchise, it does have this consequential side effect that it kind of struggles as a standalone film. It will undoubtedly feel right at home as part of a collection when all 5 of the Fantastic Beasts films have finally been released. But by itself, it's just a lot of setup. I'm sure after all 5 films have been released, this film will become more appreciated because of how much it's setting in motion now. There's probably a lot of clues hidden in plain sight and a lot of foreshadowing that's given to us here, but because we don't know where the story's going, we can't appreciate these nuggets of foreshadowing yet. Alright, so let's talk about positives and negatives. Where do we begin? Well, first of all, the most important thing is we should address is that Dumbledore is hot. Yes, Jude Law as Albus Dumbledore. Whew, more like Dumbledore. Yeah, he looks good. Annoyingly though, Dumbledore isn't really in this much, but when Jude Law is on screen, you can't help but be excited by the fact that he's there, more ways than one, probably. Give me more of young, hot, gay Dumbledore, please. But in all seriousness, when it comes to the positives, the acting all around is terrific. The problem is, though, that there is an abundance of old and new characters, and there's a lot of plot arcs and character arcs that are being established in this film, and it kind of sort of hurts the film in a sense, because I don't think anybody in this film really gets that much character development, including Newt. Like, the romance between Newt and Tina, who's played by Catherine Waterston, is obviously going to be a much bigger thing down the line. My problem is, though, I don't really care about them as a couple yet. Their romance in Crimes of Grindelwald is just one of the many subplots, and it doesn't get a whole lot of screen time, and it doesn't get developed much, so I still don't care about where this relationship is going. And Dan Fogler, who was the best thing about the first Fantastic Beasts film, as the everyman no-maj Kowalski, doesn't really have that much to do in this film. Even his relationship drama with Queenie is just another minor subplot. And that's another thing, Queenie, I actually think is the far more complex and interesting character in their relationship. And she does have a hard choice to make in this film. And it's because there's so many characters to divide the screen time between that nobody really gets their moment to blow you away. And Queenie's character certainly felt like it should have had the capacity to blow you away. But it didn't hit me as hard as it could have because her character isn't given enough screen time or opportunity to make me feel the weight of this choice that she has to make. I will say that Zoe Kravitz was excellent here. She's the only returning character in this film whose character development actually feels more substantial than in the previous film. I mean, you can make the argument that Johnny Depp's Grindelwald is obviously substantially expanded upon, but he was only in the first Fantastic Beasts film for, what, 3 minutes? So yeah, this is really where J.K. Rowling starts to build him and we get a real sense of who he is. And Johnny Depp does do a really good job of him as well. And I did think, because he was playing a wizard baddie, that he was just going to be doing his usual quirky, eccentric Johnny Depp-isms, but he really does add some gravitas to him, and the way the character's written as well, especially in the last few scenes where he's at this rally trying to get more pure-blood wizards to join his cause, you really do get a sense of his motivations and his reasonings as to why he's doing this. He's not just a megalomaniac, which I think is really powerful. It makes him a far more interesting villain when you can actually understand his reasons as to why he's doing what he's doing. And another thing that I quite liked is something that I picked up on in the first film, and that is just how relevant it feels. Crimes of Grindelwald is set in the 1920s, but Rowling knows how to make it feel very timely. This film was written during the aftermath of Brexit, and this whole division of the wizards in this movie kind of feels like a commentary on how divided our society is in the UK right now with our decision to leave the EU. So the subtext does feel quite topical, and all the technical aspects of this film are exceptional too. The score is absolutely magical. Oh, every time I hear it, it gives me goosebumps. And the special effects are incredible too. Even though this is a very CGI-dependent film, the CGI is excellent. And the costumes, again, were very beautiful. The interior production design was very good. I love that they build practical sets that feel really lived in. All right, so let's talk about a few more of the negatives. And I'm just going to clarify for the record, I'm not a massive, die-hard Harry Potter fan. My partner Glenn is, and a few of my other friends are, and a few of them have said to me that this film just completely muddles up a lot of the book canon stuff. Like, there's characters that make cameos in this film which apparently shouldn't even be born yet. So yeah, some of the choices that J.K. Rowling has made with her script for Crimes of Grindelwald completely contradicts events that happen in the Harry Potter lore further down the timeline. It feels like J.K. Rowling is taking a lot of liberties with her own franchise that she's created. And it just feels like, okay, now it's getting to the point where Fantastic Beasts is just being milked and expanded upon just for the purposes of making more money. And that is where some people are getting annoyed with these films now, because it's not being loyal to what the fans are about it. Alright, so let's sum up, guys. I was entertained watching Crimes of Grindelwald, but this film kind of feels like an amuse-bouche before the main course. You don't feel very satisfied because you don't feel full. There's a lot to praise about this film visually and technically, and David Yates has done a very good job directing it. The problem is though, there is an excessive amount of characters which splits the screen time between them so thin that no one really gets a chance to shine, and you don't feel that invested in what's happening with them. Also, there is an abundance of subplots all vying for your attention, and there's that many of them, it can be hard to keep track of them all. It's a little bit confusing watching this film. Right, so let's ask my 3 questions. Number 1, would I watch this again? Yes, even though it's not the strongest entry in the Wizarding World series, it is enjoyable enough to watch again. Mainly because knowing J.K. Rowling, it will obviously be these smaller details that she's hidden in plain sight in this film, which will be pivotal in the future films. So yeah, you'll want to rewatch it again at some point just to see if you can spot the Easter eggs and foreshadowing. Right, so question number 2, would I recommend it for you guys? Yes, again, this isn't the strongest entry in the Wizarding World series, but it is enjoyable enough, it's not boring, it's accessible both to kids and for adults, and yeah, you will be entertained. It's just a little bit messy. And question number 3, what score am I going to give it? Like I said, there is a lot to praise about this film. Visually, technically, music's fantastic, acting's great, the direction's good as well. The main problem, I would say, comes from J.K. Rowling's script. There's so much going on, so many subplots, so many character arcs, and just not enough screen time to, give them all their dues. So I'm going to give Fantastic Beasts, Crimes of Grindelwald, a score of 5.5 out of 10. There you go, guys. Those are my thoughts on the Crimes of Grindelwald. But I want to know, what did you guys think of this film? It is sort of splitting people, both fans and regular moviegoers. So it is interesting to get other people's perspectives on what they think of this. Whatever you think, be sure to let me know in that comment section below. If you guys do like my content, please don't forget to click that subscribe button. And of course, if you guys want to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Stardust, all that information is in that description link below. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I couldn't find my usual popcorn container because we haven't unpacked this flat yet. So yeah, I had to improvise. For more things related to movies, TV, and popcorn culture, I'm Luke Hearfield, and I'll see you next time.